I want you to think about someone you know. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe, and stay with me here, maybe it's you. Someone who is smart. Someone who has potential that is almost painful to witness. Someone who talks about what they're going to do, who has ideas that light up a room, who can see the vision of the life they want so clearly. It feels like it's right there, just within reach. And yet year after year, somehow nothing moves. The same conversations, the same complaints, the same dreams sitting in the same drawer, untouched. What is the invisible wall that stands between a person and the life they are fully capable of living? I spent a long time thinking it was laziness or fear or bad luck. But the more I sat with it, the more I studied the people who actually broke through, and the ones who didn't. I kept coming back to one thing, one single pattern that when present quietly devors years of a person's life without them ever noticing it happening. And it's not what most people expect. The mistake is waiting to feel ready. That's it. That's the whole thing. And I know that sounds almost too simple, but sit with it for a moment. Because if you look honestly at the places in your life where you haven't moved, you will find this hiding underneath every single one of them. The business you haven't started because you're still learning. The conversation you haven't had because the timing isn't right yet. The change you haven't made because you're waiting until things are a little more stable, a little more certain. Waiting to feel ready is the most socially acceptable form of self-sabotage that exists. Nobody questions it because it sounds responsible. It sounds like patience, but it isn't patience. Patience is when you are actively working towards something and you are willing to let the results unfold in their own time. What most of us are doing is something else entirely. We are standing completely still and calling it patience. We are not preparing. We are hiding. And the cover story we've given the hiding is so convincing that we've even convinced ourselves. The Stoics understood something about this that cuts right through all of our comfortable excuses. Marcus Aurelius, who is running an empire, fighting wars on multiple fronts, dealing with plague and personal loss, wrote to himself in private, words never meant for anyone else's eyes. He wrote about the temptation to delay, to tell himself there was a reason to wait just a little longer. And then he wrote the counter to that temptation with a force that still lands 2,000 years later. A man's purpose is not to be warm and comfortable. It is to do the work he was made for, not tomorrow. Now, this wasn't abstract philosophy for Marcus. This was a daily practical battle against the same voice that lives in all of us. The voice that says, not yet. Wait until you're more prepared, more qualified, more certain, more ready. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is fear, wearing the clothes of wisdom. And the Stoics were ruthless about learning to tell the difference. Because here is what that voice is actually costing you. Every year you wait to start the thing you know you should start. You are not just losing a year. You are losing the lessons that year would have taught you. You are losing the connections that would have found you if you were in motion. You are losing the version of yourself that only gets built through doing, not through preparing to do. You cannot think your way into becoming who you need to become. You can only act your way there. Think about the compounding nature of progress. A small action taken today consistently over 5 years produces results that are almost unimaginable from where you're standing right now. But that same action delayed by 2 years means you arrive at year 7 what you could have been at year 5. Not because you're less talented. Not because life was harder on you. Simply because you waited to feel something that was never coming. Because readiness is not a feeling that arrives before you begin. It is a feeling that arrives because you began. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who had nothing by the world's standards, taught that the only thing within our control is our own choice, our own action, our own response to the moment in front of us, not the conditions, not the timing, not whether everything is aligned and perfect. The Stoics did not wait for ideal conditions. They worked with what was in front of them right now as it was. And that philosophy produced some of the most effective, most deeply alive human beings in recorded history. So, what are you waiting for specifically? Name it. Not in a general sense, but the specific thing, the project, the decision, the conversation, the change. Name it. Because unnamed it stays a vague heaviness. Named it becomes something you can actually look at and make a choice about. And then ask yourself one honest question. Not am I ready? Because readiness is a moving target that retreats every time you get close. The question is this: is waiting making this better, or is waiting just making me more comfortable with not doing it? Because most of us, if we're utterly honest, know that the waiting stopped being preparation a long time ago. It became avoidance. We know. We just haven't said it out loud yet. The Stoics practiced memento mori. Remember that you will die not as something morbid, but as something clarifying. When you hold your own mortality as aerial present truth, the question of whether to wait until you feel ready becomes almost absurd. You have a finite number of days. Each one that passes in stillness is gone permanently. They weren't trying to scare themselves. They were trying to wake themselves up. And here is the grace in all of this. You do not have to overhaul everything today. You do not have to leap. The invitation is simply to take one step today in the direction of the thing you've been postponing, because that one step does something internally that no amount of planning ever can. It tells you that you are someone who moves, and identity one seat shifts is one of the most powerful forces in a human life. 10 years from now you will be somewhere. The only question is whether you will have spent those years building, or whether you will still be waiting to feel ready to start. The life you want is not on the other side of perfect conditions. It is on the other side of the decision to begin imperfectly in the middle of uncertainty with exactly what you have right now. The time is not coming. The time is now. Begin.